The end of Kagurabachi Part 1. Kagurabachi Chapter 112 Spoilers. In the previous Kagurabachi chapter, Samura dies at the hands of the Sword Saint Soga Akamura while Chihiro escapes. Kagurabachi Chapter 112 is titled, The Future Editor's Note. Somewhere underground. The chapter begins 4 days after the events of the last one, as Ru and the Masumi hide in a bunker while Ru thinks about the statu quo of Japan. Sword Saint Soga Akamura returns to the limelight after 18 years, floating above the gathering crowd of citizens. Newspapers are conflicted over this, but they report that the Kamunabi have since dismissed all charges against him. Ru worries about Chihiro, but his priority is Iori, who is holding Tobimune. The door of the hideout opens, and the Masumi up their guard, but who comes in is Chihiro, who tells them that Samura has fallen, choosing to sacrifice himself to save Chihiro, who held the key to defeating Megatsumi. Iori laments how there is nothing they can do. Chihiro says there is a way, which the Masumi are surprised to hear at first. Chihiro brings up the existence of black powers, a level beyond what normal enchanted blades, unlike the Megatsumi, can do, as they need to sacrifice the user's life to burn it into power. A potential Kunishige was unable to understand when making the blades. Chihiro realizes that it is possible for another blade to do so, as Samura killed Chihiro with Tobimune, but then came back to life with Suzaku. Sumi brings up how Samura only turned to ash and died because of the Tobimune. Chihiro thinks he can revive Samura with the Tobimune. By the same logic of how Tobimune can revive whatever it kills with Suzaku, Chihiro intends to bring Iori her father back with a black Suzaku. However, Ru brings up that the black powers require sacrificing one's life, but Chihiro points out he was actually able to use them once, with Cloud Gouger, but it resulted in the blade itself burning its life during the Rakuzaichi arc against Kiora Sazanami. Chihiro thinks that the enchanted blades have a form of life within them, which is why they both use up the user's spirit energy, but also their own to tap into the power to control life and death. It seems that this was the level of power Samura reached in order to kill and revive Chihiro in one blow. Ru concludes that sacrificing the Tobimune will do the trick. The condition for the enchanted blade wielder to use black powers is to be at the brink of death. While the blade itself needs to be broken, its life leaking out. Iori tries to break the sword immediately, but it hurts her knee instead. Chihiro says that he can break the sword, having made cracks on Tobimune before. In Chapter 84, Chihiro brings up the Sword Saint Akamura's goal, to kill all evildoers, but the extent of his discretion remains unclear. It is good that the other 2 lifelong contractors, one named Suzaku, are in hiding, as well as those involved in sealing the blades. Chihiro must mean Shiba, Ichiki, Yatsuru, and possibly even Azami. They must have all gone to hiding thanks to Shiba's quick teleportation. All to hide from the Sword Saint's wrath, since Kassen might have exposed who else was involved. Chihiro brings out the chunk of N10, intending to fan the flames of the spark Samura left him. Meanwhile, Soga thinks about Samura's last words, about Chihiro being able to free him from his curse. But Soga says that the Site War did not curse him but give him a realization. He is holding a child in the midst of grass that was drained by Megatsumi. Is this boy Chihiro? There is more to learn about Chihiro's birth, especially about Soga's older sister, Chihiro's mother. Meanwhile, Chihiro returns to his old home, to the forge where all the enchanted blades were made. Putting his bandana on from when he and his father worked the forge, Chihiro reflects on his entire journey so far. He remembers his father's words about how he may not write about his actions, but that Chihiro should look at the world with his own eyes. Then he recalls his first major opponent, Genichi Sojo, who believes the enchanted blades were only meant to kill. Later in the Rakuzaichi arc, Chihiro meets Hiyuki, who condemns all enchanted blade wielders as self-serving. Chihiro also fought Kiora, who praised the Shinichi as Kunishige's masterpiece. Then he recalls one of Yura's last words in Chapter 104, Heroes, condemning Kunishige as the one who created the current world that has caused much suffering as of late. As he wonders what katana he has to forge now, he recalls his uncle, the Sword Saint, declaring his intent for all evil to die. On the desk, N10's broken pieces lie there. The chapter ends as Chihiro begins to reforge his N10, realizing that he must now surpass his father. Kunishige created the current status quo by hiding the enchanted blades. Now Chihiro must forge a new enchanted blade that is not simply a counter to all enchanted blades, but one with its own life. One with the means to defeat the masterpiece Shinichi, but also bring the blades their honor. Kagurabachi Part 1. End. Editor's note. With conviction. Next issue, a new arc begins to reveal itself. From the midst of that rubble, just what is it that will appear? Now we end the longest arc of Kagurabachi, the sword-bearer assassination arc that covered chapter 45. What comes next to now? A total 68 chapters and 2 volumes. The last 2 chapters of volume 5 to volume 12, which is over 60% of the series so far. Just like one of its core inspirations, Naruto, Kagurabachi has a part 1. Naruto part 1 lasted 238 chapters, from October 4th, 1999 to November 22nd, 2004 for a total of 5 years, while part 2 covered up to chapter 700 for a total of 470 chapters, until the ending on November 24, 2014 for a total of 10 years. Kagurabachi was first released on September 19, 2023, meaning it has only been 2.5 years.